Senator the Honorable Dr. Amory Brown, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, and representatives of the EU member states and deputies, members of the media, colleagues and partners joining by our live stream, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you here today to our Europe Day event for 2022. This year, we are pleased to present you with a special concert of EU and Trinidad and Tobago music featuring the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. My name is Karen Shepherd, and I'm the Press and Information Officer of the EU delegation. On behalf of Ambassador Cavendish and the staff of the EU delegation, I really want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. As you know, we're in unique times. COVID is still with us. So regrettably, we are unable to host traditional celebrations today. In particular, I wish to thank those of you specially invited guests joining us online, or partners at the ministries, international organizations, CSOs, all those individuals with whom we work and collaborate and who normally would have been present with us to celebrate today. Thanks for taking the time to join us virtually. We begin today's program with the playing of the anthems, and we are pleased to have the National Steel Symphony Orchestra under the direction of Mr. Akua Leith to perform them this year. First, the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago will be played, followed by the European anthem. Can we give them a warm round of applause? That was lovely. Now it is my pleasure to invite to the podium the ambassador of the EU delegation to Trinidad and Tobago, His Excellency Peter Cavendish, to offer some words.
Thank you very much. Senator Dr. Amory Brown, Foreign Minister and Minister of CARICOM Affairs, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioner and representatives of the EU member states and diplomatic corps and deputies, members of the media, colleagues, partners and friends joining us via live stream, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you here today and thank you for joining us to celebrate Europe Day. We appreciate those who are here with us physically and those who are with us in the virtual space. Hopefully with the end of this COVID pandemic, we shall be able to join with you physically more in the future. 9th of May, Europe Day, as you know, is the anniversary of the signing of the Schuman Declaration in 1950, and it is typically a celebration of peace and unity in Europe. Sadly, our celebrations of peace and unity today are overshadowed by the grim reality of war having returned to Europe. And to quote Robert Schumann's words, world peace cannot be safeguarded without the making of creative efforts proportionate to the dangers which threaten it. These words resonate now more than ever. This ongoing war is unjustified and without any foundation. The United Nations International Court of Justice ordered Russia to halt its intervention on 16th of March, citing that the court had not seen any evidence to support the Kremlin's justification for the war. All of us will have seen the devastation, destruction and death inflicted upon the people of the Ukraine, the men, women and children who have lost their lives, the millions displaced and now scattered across Europe and other parts of the world, and the millions still withstanding the worst of this Russian incursion. In the midst of these dark times, we may take comfort from the huge, unprecedented international response, with 141 countries supporting condemnations of Russia's actions, and I am proud that our host nation has been a co-sponsor for 2 resolutions. We are further grateful to Trinidad and Tobago for standing against this unprovoked, unjustified war, to you, Foreign Minister Dr. Brown, for swiftly condemning the attack on behalf of your country, and to your government for your coordination with CARICOM partners and your vote at the United Nations. In these times, we may take some comfort that Russia's already lost the diplomatic war, the disinformation war, and the political war. Further, rather than tearing Europe apart, this war has brought a swift and largely united response in the EU member states, and like-minded democracies. The EU has reacted quickly with the largest sanctions package in our union history, sanctions that will take a heavy toll on the Russian economy and on the Kremlin. In addition, the EU has responded with a package worth €500 million to supply lethal and non-lethal equipment to the Ukrainian armed forces and Ukrainian people. The EU will continue to stand by with the people of Ukraine. When Ukraine prevails, we, the entire global community, will prevail. Good has to prevail over evil. The EU is already looking forwards to promote a post-COVID recovery. Now we have to add to this the need to challenge the negative effects of this unjustified war, be it from fuel or food price hikes. The EU is determined to continue with our international obligations, to reinforce our strong relations, and to act in solidarity with partner countries around the world to counteract global challenges. It is for this reason that the EU is investing up to €300 billion to support sustainable development around the world via high-quality projects in digital, climate change, green energy, transport, infrastructure, health and education. This global gateway is Europe's strategy to connect the world in a smart, sustainable and fair way. It is a Team Europe initiative that will allow our partner countries to develop their societies and economies, while also creating opportunities for the EU member states' private sector to invest and remain competitive. While we will also ensure the highest environmental and labour standards as well as sound financial management. Prior to this war, the European Union had already recognised the important role that our young people must play to build a better future, so it had designated 2022 as the European Year of Youth. Our intention is to prioritise young people, amplify their concerns and empower them to participate in the policy and decision-making process. Here at the delegation, we are using the opportunity to amplify the voice youth of Trinidad and Tobago. Most recently, we engaged with young people of the University of the West Indies and COSTAT for various initiatives. We're also planning to engage with young people throughout the year, including through visits to schools, the promotion of the Erasmus Plus program in the fields of digital, agriculture, fisheries, tourism, ecotourism, and much else. The long relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and the EU, already for nearly 46 years, is both deep and close, and I am proud of the achievements and looking forward to the future ones. I offer you my thanks, and I wish you all the best on Schumann Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Cavendish. And now I'm very happy to invite to the podium the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Senator the Honorable Dr. Amory Brown, to deliver remarks on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency Peter Cavendish, Ambassador of the European Union to Trinidad and Tobago, ambassadors of EU member states and Group of 7 nations, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and I see many friends here today, Ladies and gentlemen joining us, including those who are with the live stream, good afternoon. I really want to begin by saluting our wonderful musicians who've already blessed the evening with their talent. It really offers us a very lovely ambiance, complete with this lovely garden. And I've been noticing the mangoes hanging overhead and wondering when they might be ripe for a revisit to this particular property. But even as we enjoy this beautiful ambiance, as Ambassador has already said, it is important and inevitable that our hearts and minds be turned to a very different part of the world where such an ambiance has been made impossible by the savages of warfare. I want to say that on behalf of the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago, it is an honor to be able to join you here this afternoon to celebrate Europe Day. It's very pleasing that we can do this in person after several years in which this would have been impossible. And in fact, this was impossible. And now, as the people of this country are reaping the benefits of tremendous sacrifice that they've made over the past 2 years, including our talented, creative individuals have made tremendous sacrifices. We are now able to enjoy in-person events like this one. And I want to commend the EU delegation and the hardworking team for putting together today's celebration. The commemoration of Europe Day does call for reflection on the foresight and visionary leadership of one great diplomat, a French statesman by the name of Robert Schuman, whose astute understanding of the relationship between cooperation and peace really laid the foundation for a multifaceted European integration movement. And very often we reference that movement as part of the inspiration that drives our own integration movement here in the Caribbean region. It is also quite fitting that at this moment, France enjoys the presidency of the well, I use the word enjoys, has the responsibility of the presidency of the Council of the European Union at this challenging time. And we must say that European integration has benefited the development of peace and security on the continent, and also far beyond the continent, to partner countries and blocs that share similar values, such as Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean community. The Schuman Declaration justifies its foundational premise of cooperation and unity as being the essential precursors to peace and development. And it is quite evident that the Schuman Declaration and its spirit, made 72 years ago on the 9th of May 1950, marked the foundation of the European Union as we know it, and is set out in an extraordinary declaration with two core principles: peace and solidarity. These principles transcend the realities of the immediate post-war era, bearing relevance to our current circumstances, in which a direct threat has been posed to the now long-standing European respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty, and one that also aligns with the Charter of the United Nations, which most nations have endeavored to uphold. Given its enduring and principled position of respect for the sovereign equality of states, a principle that Trinidad and Tobago shares completely with the European community, I take this opportunity once again to register our nation's deepest concern at the ongoing flagrant violation of Ukraine's internationally agreed borders by the Russian Federation and the resulting humanitarian calamity. Trinidad and Tobago considers the actions taken by the Russian Federation as constituting a real threat to international peace and security, and we reiterate the need for an immediate end to this invasion and the fullest exploration of diplomacy and dialogue to address all challenges. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago has certainly maintained a favorable and increasingly productive relationship with the European community. This relationship had its genesis just about 4 decades ago and is grounded on areas really critical to our sustainable development, such as education, healthcare, infrastructural development, and of course, national security. Indeed, the European Union has been a major source of grant assistance to Trinidad and Tobago, providing 108 million euros between 2007 and 2020. In fact, I will go further to categorize the EU as our largest source of grant assistance. I therefore reiterate Trinidad and Tobago's gratitude to the EU for their ongoing commitment to this particular aspect of a warm and mutually beneficial diplomatic engagement. In the same vein, I wish to stress that Trinidad and Tobago places great value on its cooperation and relationship with its European counterparts and remains committed to engaging in ongoing and purposeful dialogue aimed at managing the challenges of our complex times and to strengthen our collective resilience and guarantee sustainable development. I recall the recent high-level meeting in February of this year in which Prime Minister, the Honorable Keith Rowley, and other officials of the government of Trinidad and Tobago met with, bless you, met with Ambassador Cavendish and senior members of the European External Action Service and European Commission to discuss matters of mutual interest. Of prominence in those discussions was the issue of the continued inclusion of Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, on a list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions and third countries regarding anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism. I was very grateful for the opportunity to have such meaningful dialogue, which afforded a platform to deepen bilateral understanding and commitment by both parties to action to facilitate the desired outcome and important outcome of Trinidad and Tobago's complete removal from future lists. And I add our regional neighbors to that objective as well. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago currently holds the chairmanship of the Caribbean Forum, CARIFORUM, a subgroup of Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States. The OACPS serves as a base for economic dialogue with the EU, and during our chairmanship of this body, we will continue to work along with our ambassadors in Brussels to finalize the signing of the CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement, which represents a refreshing new direction in the partnership between our blocs. And last week, I also had the opportunity in Panama to engage in bilateral discussions with His Excellency Josep Borrell, High Representative and Vice President of the European External Action Service. And I wish to express gratitude for his offer to hold annual meetings with CARIFORUM ministers in order to consolidate the joint high-level engagement and to operationalize the political cooperation foreseen under the Caribbean Protocol of the post-Cotonou Agreement. So the last 2 years have been challenging as the international community has battled to stem the rate of infections of COVID-19. As close, long-standing partners, Trinidad and Tobago has engaged in progressive dialogue with the European Union and with its individual member states regarding access to vaccines. And in this regard, I recall my discussions with the European Commissioner for International Partnerships on the impact of the pandemic on CARICOM member states and the challenges we have faced in accessing the requisite vaccines. Combating COVID-19 remains an issue that requires ongoing commitment and solidarity among nations. As we speak, a a significant consignment of pediatric COVID-19 vaccines is being prepared by the government of the Kingdom of Spain to be shipped to Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago, which is yet another sign of the power of goodwill, partnership, and the level of support and solidarity that we share not just with the people of Spain, but with Europe as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago, I thank you for your partnership, your brotherhood and sisterhood, and I invite you to please join me in a toast to the peace and prosperity and safety of the European Union. Happy Europe Day, my friends. Cheers to you.
Thank you, Minister Brown, for your kind words. Can we give him a round of applause, please? Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the highlight of today's event, which is a concert, a special concert performance by the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. Before I hand over to them, however, I want to offer an introduction. The National Steel Symphony Orchestra, NSSO as they're called, was formed in November 2007 and is administered by the Trinidad and Tobago Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts. The ensemble is composed of auditioned players, many of whom are university graduates who represent the best combination of technique and literacy among steel band players in Trinidad and Tobago. Since its formation, the NSSO has performed extensively across Trinidad and Tobago and for some of the most important public events and high-level visits. The Steel Orchestra has also toured regionally and internationally. Since 2016, Mr. Akua Leith has led the NSSO as principal conductor and artistic director. Mr. Leith is a Fulbright Fellow who graduated from the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Musical Arts, as well as the Northern Illinois University with a Master's of Music in Conducting with an emphasis on steel pan performance. Prior to pursuing graduate studies, he performed with the National Steel Symphony Orchestra of Trinidad and Tobago as a full-time musician. Now, it is my pleasure to hand you over to the National Steel Symphony Orchestra under the direction of Mr. Akua Leith for today's performance. Please, let's give them a round of applause and all enjoy. rousing round of applause to that wonderful performance from the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. So thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the concert and the end of tonight's live stream. Before we leave, I just want to say thank you so much to the National Steel Symphony Orchestra under the direction of Mr. Akua Leith. Thank you so much again. That's a wonderful and entertaining performance. I want to say thank you also to the minister for gracing us with his presence here today. I want to thank all of the ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps who are present with us and all of those who joined us online. It has been truly a wonderful evening, and I wish you all a good rest of your Europe Day. Thank you, everybody.
In the last 2 years, we saw the COVID-19 pandemic impacting our lives and the world. And today, the Russian aggression against Ukraine proves that Europe is in danger even more every day. We are working for the External Action Service to be the true diplomatic service of the European Union. And more than that, we promote and support peace and security. We defend democracy, human rights, the rule of law, and multilateralism. In all of this, we have one key stakeholder, the European citizens.